I'm Fred Schwartz. Welcome to MHO Hotel Insight, where our distinguished panelists keep you well informed. And speaking about distinguished panelists, I am delighted that Ken Green, President and CEO of AHOA, has joined us, along with Miraj Patel, Secretary of AHOA. Ken, let's start with you. I was at the AHOA Atlanta Regional recently, and I heard an astounding number in a positive way, 20,000 AHOA members. But I think if you drill down, you can get blown away even more with what that represents. I understand there's I think it's called an Oxford study.
Yes.
Can you share with us?
Absolutely, Fred. And by the way, thank you for having us on the show. AHOA conducted a study and it was done by Oxford Economics. And it's 20,000 members across the United States. But what is most significant, that membership, those 20,000 members actually represent 60% of the hotels in the United States. 3.1 million rooms, 34,000 hotels. They contribute almost $100 billion in terms of federal, state, and local taxes. That represents about $396 billion to the U.S. GDP. And what is really shocking, because, Fred, AHOA 30 years ago, really, many of the members started in the economy and the mid-market segments. And to this day, I think the AHOA members still dominate the economy segment. Over 68% of the hotels in the economy segment are owned by AHOA members. But what is astonishing is that 40% of the luxury properties in the United States are owned by AHOA members. 50% of the upper upscale properties are owned by AHOA members. So the membership has transcended, and it's really incredible as it's gone from first to second, third, now into fourth and fifth generation. All this data really brings legitimacy to the leverage of AHOA, the buying power of AHOA, the influence of AHOA. Again, it's not AHOA saying this is it. This is Oxford Economics coming and really validating the power of what AHOA is today.
Sure, independent study. That's great. That's great information. Miraj, let me turn to you. You look at the 20,000 members, and you've got women hoteliers, independent hoteliers, young professional hoteliers, and I'm sure there's a few other categories thrown in there. How are you meaningful to each category of AHOA members? I know you can put them in a general session room and talk about different things, but sometimes, if I recall in the early days with AHOA, there are some issues that are specific to each of those category hoteliers.
So, Fred, long before, the reason why, the term SIGs was created, whether that be independent hoteliers, the female hoteliers, or the young professional hoteliers, AHOA was trying to engage all categories of the membership. You look back about 10 to 15 years ago, AHOA struggled in getting them entertained or getting them engaged into the association. Now, you see female hotelier, when they host their events across the country, or even at the convention, you see a full house, right? Whether we have young professional events or a young professional conference at the convention itself, you see a full house. So what does that tell you? That this implementation back 10, 15 years ago worked. And now if you look at the board, we have more young professionals joining the board. Just the officer slate, we have a great dynamic with Ken on board now. We have, two individuals that are young professionals, including myself, on the officer slate. And we also have majority of our board being young professionals. So when we talk about, looking back 10 to 15 years ago, did it work? Absolutely. The evidence is there right now, and we're seeing more female hoteliers engaging. We have independent hoteliers engaging, and that's why AHOA has reached that 20,000 mark.
Yeah, that's remarkable. I thought another thing that, and I assume you still have this, is the ambassador program.
As an association, you want to engage as many leaders as possible. So that comes in different ways, right? It can be through board members and who become officers. It can become part of the women's leadership participation. Could be young professionals. Can be ambassadors, and so I think the ambassadors play a critical role in really representing a region's voice and engaging members in the region on behalf of the regional director.
Back in 2007 under Danny Patel, and I know you were also very engaged in making this a reality. The vision was there, and over the years, the way I look at the ambassador program is your test drive for the association, right? So you participate being an ambassador, and you're on the grassroots level advocating for your region at the grassroots level.
So 20,000 members, that's a great number. And I always say, who better to educate our elected officials than people that have skin in the game to talk about burdensome, unwarranted regulation?
Listen, I think that's really the strength of AHOA, is the fact that we are Main Street. We represent owners, we represent small business owners. We are singularly focused on owners' issues, right? And what we can bring to the party, local level, state level, federal level, on these battles, and so and same on the federal level. And a lot of these, by the way, big successes that we have aren't the ones that you hear about that, hey, we accomplished X, Y, Z. The biggest are the things you never hear about. The bills that were being proposed, this language that was going to be proposed at whatever level of government that was going to impact a hotelier, an owner, in a negative way, and that we're able to deploy voices.
When somebody asks me what AHOA is, the way I define AHOA is that it is the definition of the American dream. We have 20,000 members today, and every member has helped build this association. And on top of that, it is the definition of the American dream. You have 20,000 members with the American dream, and they're successful in the industry, which is why we have 60% of the hotels owned by AHOA members. In some states, like Texas and Arkansas, 89% of the hotels in that specific state is owned by our AHOA member.
And let me ask you a question. So when you look at AHOA and you see I don't want to call it the nifty 50 because there's more, but you've got people that are so well launched in the industry. Yeah. They own hotel REITs, etc. But you also have guys that are first entering the industry, buying their first hotel. How do you remain relevant to the guys entering the industry? They're not sure of, they probably can't even get out to advocate because they're too busy working the front desk, etc. With the professional development that you provide, I know you provide a lot. How do you maintain that you reach those guys that need it most?
Yeah, well, I think communication is always critical, right? And I think the way we have structured our regions allows for engagement at a local level, as well as we do 200 events a year, right? Regional meetings, town hall meetings. We're doing charity golf events. Then we do the big conference where in Dallas just in August, 6,500 people in the middle of COVID. Who would have ever thought, right? And again, in large part, Fred, to a lot of your efforts, right? I mean, you should be really proud of where we're at today. They got 20, 30 hotels. I mean, it is the American dream. It really is. And so, but to see the success and see some of our members become very sophisticated institutional level investors, I think where AHOA is today, because of our scale, because we represent 60% hoteliers, who happen, by the way, to be Asian American, all right? But we truly represent all demographics, all owners, all levels of segments, and all types of ownership. And I think that's really truly our power at this point, is that we represent the industry. I think Mirage is absolutely right. We are the industry, and we represent those that are members and even those that aren't. And I think that'll be the power of AHOA as we move forward, is to really tap into that.
Well, phenomenal organization. And gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Ken Green, President and CEO of AHOA, Mirage Patel, Secretary of AHOA. Thank you for joining us on MHO Hotel Insight.